Hey guys, I'm Jason.
And I'm Ethan.
And in this episode of the ServoCity Scoop, which you don't know because we've never made one before, but this is the first episode. So let's introduce the concept. We're going to be, really just giving ourselves the option to talk about new products and old products and changes to products and anything else that we really want to talk about with you guys, things that you ask for and want to see. We'll do some tech tips and things like that. Maybe some of you can share some of your builds with us, and we'll share that on the show as well. So it's going to be really kind of a loose, open format for us to be able to keep in touch with you guys. So we're really looking forward to it. And in this, the inaugural episode, we're going to be talking about some new products. We're going to be taking a look at some updates to our power supplies and some seal spacers. And we're going to be taking a look at a featured product, a product spotlight, if you will, the arc slot tensioner. All right, we're ready to jump in with our very first segment. We're going to be talking about some product updates. We're updating a few different product lines, and we just want to take a minute to walk you through what's changing.
First up, we've got power supplies. Now, we've sold power supplies on ServoCity for a really long time, but we've made a couple updates to these two right here. The first one being our 6-volt, 3-amp power supply. It's moved to an XT30 output. Now, this is something that we're moving a lot of our electronics to because it's a really great connector. It's polarized, you can't plug it in wrong, and it is really great way to handle up to 30 amps continuously. Next up is a 12-volt 4-amp, so this one's actually increased current slightly and also made the change over to XT30. These are both great for something like a servo or a lower power motor in an application where you need to be anchored to a wall. Now, these are additions to the product line. We've got a 12-volt 10-amp power supply, so a really good amount of power that you're putting through this system. And I really like kind of the modularity. You've got a cord you can unplug, plug into the wall, and this overall form factor I think is going to be great for a lot of test benches and builds. Now, this is kind of the big beast of power supplies that we sell on ServoCity. It's a 12-volt 25-amp output. It's got this crazy aluminum case, and one of the coolest parts about it is that it's actually IP67 rated. So you can put it outside, you can do just crazy things with this power supply and not have to worry about it. It's a crazy beefy case, and if you pick this up, like, you understand it's a piece of machinery. It's nice.
There's just something nice about knowing, hey, this is going to be overkill for almost anything I do with it. I could have it outside. I could, open a gate with it or something like that. It's got the mounting tabs to just screw it down to the surface. It's really nice.
Yeah.
And also, there's a reason we're moving towards XT30 on these versus what we had previously as connectors, which was the round barrel jack connectors. I think it's hard to not feel like, oh, that's nice. The first time you plug in an XT30 connector, they're really high quality. They don't come apart by accident. You can't plug it in backwards. They're good connectors.
Absolutely.
And next we wanted to talk about spacers. We even touch on the littlest of things here because we're always making small improvements. Progress marches on. And we have a few new additions to the product line as well as one update here. But what we will notice, all three of these offerings are steel. So we have two 6mm ID spacer offerings. These are 4-packs. That's why I'm showing you 4 of them here. And we have a 2mm length, which is the newer length, and then we have a 4mm length, which replaces an aluminum 4mm length 6mm ID spacer that we had previously. You get a little extra strength. The added weight of going steel is negligible for something of this size. So it's just sort of like one of those why not decisions. Why not go steel? Not that you necessarily are doing anything crazy usually with a spacer that's going to destroy an aluminum one. It's just like a nice solid replacement.
We really like overkill here. It's
right.
It's pretty fun.
There's something nice about knowing you get something from us, and it's stuff like that's been thought about, and stuff's just going to work, and it's going to be as durable as it can be, as solid as it can be. We want to do the homework for you when we can, and just make your lives easier, because that helps Ethan in tech support. Less phone calls. So the other one we have here is 8mm ID. So that works nicely on 8mm shafting, like brushless motors often have, but it also works great on the 8mm Rex goBILDA shafting as well. This particular length is 2mm. Those 2mm ones actually come in handy in a lot of assemblies.
They're nice.
So yeah, we're excited about those.
All right, our new product highlight for this episode is the 5103 series goBILDA gearboxes. Now, this is the gearbox you can find on the 5203 goBILDA Yellow Jacket gear motor, but you can now buy it separately. This, of course, gives you some advantages. If you want to swap out your 5203's gearbox to be, say, 188 to 1, you can do that. It'll come with the pinion gear you'll need, with an 1/8" D-bore, and 4 M3 screws, which would be the size of screw you would need to bolt it to your motor. You can also combine one of these with a 5000 series bare motor and build your own ratios if you want to grab multiple gearboxes at the same time. These are, of course, super robust. They use a mod 0.6 gear throughout the gearbox, and they are all steel. So we have not been able to kill one of these in testing. I've tried really hard, but they are crazy robust. And
I can't imagine buying these to replace a broken one just because we haven't seen it yet. I'm sure it's possible. You might have to hit it with a sledgehammer or something. I mean, it's always possible to break stuff. If you've broken one, shoot Ethan an email directly.
Tech at ServoCity.com.
Let them know. Send a picture, send a video. That would be fun. But
Absolutely.
yeah, they're really robust, and it's great to have these as options to swap out an existing one and get a different ratio.
Absolutely. So we have a ton of different ratio options available for these. We can show them on the screen now. There are too many to list, but if you need that exact RPM, this gets you a really great way to get there.
Excellent. Well, it's time for the last segment of our first show. We're moving on to the product spotlight. So we want to talk to you today about the ARC slot tensioner. These things are awesome. They've been selling like hotcakes since we released them. And Ethan, these are kind of your baby. You designed these, so I'm going to let you dig into them a little bit here.
Yeah, so the ARC slot tensioner came out of a desire to have a little more flexibility in exactly how tight you want your belt. In some applications, you want it as tight as possible to be able to handle as much torque as you can, but sometimes that adds a little more friction than you like to add. So these are designed as a natural companion to the 9mm wide 6mm ID acetyl timing belt idler. So you can create really smooth running, really nice timing belt assemblies with that variable amount of tension. So they come from, their name specifically comes from this arc that the second screw in this assembly rides in. That lets you rotate this whole assembly to vary that tension. When you got it where you want it, you get to lock down both of those screws, and really ends up being very flexible and very nice to use. I can do a quick demo here for you guys.
Yeah, while he's doing that, I wanted to point out I was lucky enough to get to take home one of the prototypes of these because I had a project I was working on, and I was excited to be the first person to, I guess, buy one and try it out. And yeah, it makes all the difference in the world. And yeah, there are a lot of holes on channel, and you can really pick where your standoff is going to be. So you can put that idler on a standoff and like pick a location. But it's just so nice to be able to just slide that in to exactly the amount of tension you want, like exactly the amount of tension, and tighten it down, and have that amount of control over it is just very satisfying.
It's really nice, and the tons of holes in channel give you a lot of variability in where you put this also. The center distance between the two screws is 8mm. So a lot of combinations of two holes on goBILDA on channel specifically work out. And if you're working with grid plate, you know, there are endless possibilities.
The world is your oyster. It may look like a steel RSS feed icon, but it's a serious tool, and we love it. And we love you. Thank you for joining us on our first episode. We look forward to doing more of these. If you have any thoughts, you love it, you hate it, you have requests, you want to see things different than what we did at this time, new segment ideas, drop your thoughts down in the comments below.
And if you have more technical questions about any parts that we sell over on ServoCity, feel free to shoot us an email over to tech@servocity.com.
Till next time.